Hi folks, hope everybody's good. This is going to be a look at converting a Fabia 1.9 TDI from a 5-speed to a 6-speed transmission. Currently it's the 5-speed manual, and unfortunately the manual gearbox has started to show signs of age. It's rattling, and it's also, well, the clutch has started to slip as well. It's a bit crunchy changing gear, so yeah, I think it's time to upgrade. It is running quite a bit more power than standard as well. There's other videos on my channel about that. I did a big power build, as people like to call it. So yeah, I can't really blame the 5-speed for giving up. So I've got a 6-speed out of a Fabia VRS, and yeah, I'm going to swap it from 5 to 6. I'm also going to be replacing the sump as well along the way. I haven't hit this sump like most people do because the car isn't lowered, but I do have a shallow sump to fit, mainly because I live in the countryside and go down rough tracks quite a lot, so it's yeah, quite handy having the extra bit of clearance and a steel sump underneath instead of aluminium. Also the rear main seal has started to weep as well, so it's been doing that for a few years now, and I just thought, you know what, I'll get everything upgraded all at once. So yeah, this is just going to be a video showing how everything is done. It's not going to be like an entire how-to-do video, like a how-to, mainly because there's a lot of write-ups on how to do it online, and it would be like a 4-hour-long video if I was showing everything, but I'll film key moments and things people should probably take into consideration and know about. So yeah, thanks for watching. Hey folks, so the first bit of the job was move the subframe, which I actually forgot how easy these things are to do if everything goes to plan, which this more or less did. The only thing that fought me was the stupid little bolts that hold the lower ball joint in. I was trying to remember the name for it then. Yeah, the ball joint, which is just there. Yeah, the little bolts, nuts and bolts. One came out, the other snapped. I don't care because I'm just gonna redo them all anyway, so it's not a big issue. That's the big bolts that hold the subframe on. That one, as you can see, the thread is not too good on that. It's a bit concerning, so I'm going to run a die through the threads in the body, because the last thing I want to have happen is the captive nuts in these break their welds, you know, if they get too tight. That would just be the scariest thing in the world. So yeah, I'm not gonna, just up in there, so I'm gonna run a die through those just to make sure they're okay, and then replace these with probably, I think you can actually get new ones of these. If not, I will use the ones off the VRS, because I'm putting the subframe from that one to this car. I still haven't got it yet. I'm going down to North Yorkshire on the weekend to strip a VRS for its 6-speed and various other bits and pieces. Yeah, go from there. So I'll probably be taking a lot of the bolts and stuff from that for this, because not all the bolts from this are quite as good as I'd like them to be. But yeah, everything else isn't too bad actually. Yeah, seems alright. Don't like the look of that. Oh, I think that's, no. It just twisted round. Anyway, I digress. So the next job is to strip away all the stuff up here. Battery, airbox, anything else that I need to remove to fully access the gearbox. Then we've got the gear linkage to remove, a couple of wires for the, well, it's actually on this one because it's an ABS driven car. I've only got the electrical connector for the reverse lights. We don't have a speed sensor on this one. And then yeah, drive shafts are already disconnected. They can come out with a box. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I'm not doing all that tonight. I'm just going to take this stuff out tonight. And yeah, probably get the box off tomorrow. For those interested to see the inside of the sump, there it is. Very clean up in there, which is nice. And you can actually see where there's a lot of oil. I don't know if you can see it, but on the back of the flywheel, yes, the crank seal is broken in there. It broke when I took the sump off, because I made a mistake, but it doesn't really matter because I'm replacing the crank seal anyway. But I might as well show you. The sump, which is here, still has part of the crank seal attached to it, because the two bolts which go up in here and here, I could not get to those. So what I tried to do, and this is brutal and I don't really care, I tried to break the sump away enough to get a tool in to get to these two bolts. Didn't work, and I ended up breaking the crank seal. But as I mentioned, the crank seal was leaking anyway, so I'm not actually fussed. And I'm putting a different sump on as well. I'm putting a shallow sump on, which is here. Came off another PD. It's a VW Beetle one. In fact, no, was it a PD it came off? It came off a Beetle, I can't remember. But yeah, I'm gonna put that on, so it's all okay. But yeah, very excited about the 6-speed, I must say. Okay, so now the battery is removed and the airbox and everything, which is just sitting there. And the PD 160 Ibiza air intake, which are very, very expensive, and I don't quite know why. Do they make much of a difference? Well, I haven't noticed much of a difference. Maybe. Yeah, quite a nice bit of kit, but not worth like £110, which people seem to be asking for them. But yes, now we have a box containing 5 gears, a starter motor, and some cables to disconnect. Yeah, not much really. Shove that out of the way. You stay out of the way. There we go, sorted. Yeah, we've got the gear linkage to disconnect. Now, I don't know if you have to replace the entire linkage for the 6-speed one, because this linkage is actually the one from this car, the original, the 1.2 petrol one. See my old vids of converting this from a 1.2 to a 1.9 diesel. The only thing I did was change this mount here, which attaches to the gearbox, and the end bits. Everything else stayed in. Now, I don't know whether the 6-speed you can do that or not, because I know the 6-speed is physically a bigger gearbox. So I'm getting the linkage and everything anyway, just in case I need to replace it. I've heard some people saying you have to replace the whole lot, and I've heard other people saying it's fine, you don't. So yeah, we will find out in due course. But yeah, everything else is going not too badly. I need to support the engine because those and that are getting removed, which is the gearbox mount. And obviously I need to unbolt the box as well, disconnect the linkage. That's pretty much it, actually. Yeah, I can't think of anything else. Oh yeah, the starter, I did mention that, I think. Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. I'm just trying to think what things. Oh yeah, the clutch line as well, and that is something that needs replacing, because the 5-speed one no longer works with a 6-speed, because the 6-speed has what's known as a concentric slave cylinder, which means it's inside the bell housing, like most modern vehicles of the dual mass. This has an external slave cylinder. Now I would show you it, but I can't actually see where it lives. Oh, there it is. Hang on. There's a slave cylinder. Yeah, so this pipe here, that goes along and round and up along the back to the reservoir, which is buried under there. That all needs removing. Now I can't remember if this pipe actually separates or not, because I recently manual swapped my Volvo, and yes, there's videos on that as well. And it actually separated this, like this wasn't an entire line, it separated somewhere. I can't at the moment see if this does, so I'm going to presume it does not. So yeah, we will cross that bridge if and when we come to it. We probably will come to it. So yeah, I'm not too worried. I'll pull everything off the VRS. So yeah, now time to get the gearbox out. Oh, I should also say, you can see underneath how much oil and things there is around the back of the engine. I don't know if I showed this earlier or not, but yeah, there's a lot of oil up in the clutch, and also this gearbox itself has been leaking. The rear diff seals have been leaking for quite some time. Look at my massive air conditioning rad, I swear. Yeah, they've been leaking for a while. I've actually got new seals for this gearbox, which I never fitted. So yeah, right, I will head off at the moment. Well, the gearbox is now off. What a horrible job they are to do. I actually forgot how much I hate doing them in the car. As you can see, we've sprung a leak because, again, and this happened last time, caught this stupid thing here, which is very, very brittle, and then it just drops coolant. So that's not the end of the world. I'll just replace it with another one. Yeah, box is off. The problem is, what happens is the drive shaft CV flange, whatever you want to call it, just there, it hems up on the flywheel, so it has to be removed in a certain way, which is doable but pretty difficult in the car. So I just used a good amount of violence, won't lie, and just ripped the thing off with a breaker bar. Caught that as well, but I did it last time. So I'm not actually that fussed, because I do actually have another one of those from a spare PD. So we've got catalytic on the ground, clean up the coolant spill, let that dry and then sweep it up. And yeah, that's it really. It's not actually a bad job removing the gearboxes, as you've seen, but it's just getting off can be very awkward. So yeah. Right, excellent. Get tidied up and sorted out to go down south and grab the 6-speed. Hopefully that's not going to be as much of a twat to get out. At least there'll be more people doing that, because there'll be myself, the guy who owns the car, and my dad as well, so won't be just working on my own. I should say I will be getting help to put the 6-speed back in, because yeah, if you've ever tried to line up a gearbox yourself, it can be quite difficult, and tempers can get very, very short. So yeah, I'm gonna get a hand putting the 6-speed back in. Hey folks, hope everyone's good. Pretty much ready now to head down to North Yorkshire and get this gearbox and everything from a VRS, which is down there. It's one that I'm stripping and removing all the parts myself, which I prefer to do, because that way you get everything that you need and you can inspect everything as well. I did think about buying the parts online, but it was going to work out more expensive, and yeah, you don't always know if you're going to get everything that you need as well. But if you strip it yourself, you can see what's there, so I much prefer doing that. Plus it's more fun as well. So yeah, in the trusty Volvo, as you can see, loads of space. So yeah, time to make a move and head down to Yorkshire for a few days. I've literally got everything in the back now. As you can see, all tools more or less under here. Angle grinder and stuff as well, in case things get a bit problematic on removal. Easiest way to remove drop links, that's all I'm saying. But yeah, everything's in here, socket sets, Torx bits, splines, spanners, got the jack, yeah, pretty much everything that's needed. So, even got stuff packed in the back there because my parents are coming as well, because we're staying at another house that they have down in Yorkshire. So yeah, it's a holiday for both of us. Well, a working holiday for me, I guess. But yeah, good old Volvo. There's many other videos of this car on my channel as well, because I just finished manual swapping it actually. Drives so much nicer. Well, that is everything now for the 6-speed conversion. As you can possibly see, gearbox and linkages and drive shaft and pretty much everything else, engine mounts as well. All the tools are in here as well. It's a great thing about having a Volvo. So yeah, stripped all this on the side of a busy road in Darlington, which is a city where the guy's car was. Yeah, it wasn't too bad. It was just raining, which was not fun. Luckily it wasn't constant rain, but there was a bit of rain here and there. But no, everything went pretty well. And yeah, got everything that we wanted. Got the dash clocks there as well for my dad's Fabia. He's wanting to put those in his saloon. There's also the handbrake in there as well. I don't quite know where. Well, there it is. Right at the back, the VRS one. Which they have a nice leather handbrake. I don't know if you're even going to see that. Yeah, which will be going into Dad's saloon as well. Yeah, all the tools and everything are in here. So yeah, more or less just need to head back to Scotland now, which is a few 100 miles, but not terrible. Unfortunately, I did forget a couple of very important tools when I came down, but yeah, managed to find somewhere to get some nearby. So it's a great thing about stripping a car in a city. There's always places you can get bits if you need to. Whereas I live in the middle of the country, so not always as easy. So yeah, there we go. So ordered a few of the little bits and pieces off eBay that I'm needing, just a few little clips and things, sort of one-use things, if that makes sense. Awesome gear stick. I'm being sarcastic. Decent gator though, that's actually alright. Yeah, VRS one. But yeah, everything's pretty good. I never took the clutch and things because obviously I don't need those. I've got a new clutch and dual mass. Yeah, pretty good I think. So yeah, next video will probably be back at home. Okay, so it's now another day and we are back in Scotland at the workshop, as you can see, as my Fabia estate is eagerly awaiting a 6-speed. Yep. So yeah, I now need to try and get everything out. I just stepped on something. What was that? That was a bolt. Don't really want to lose that. Anyway, yes, now I need to get everything out. The gearbox is going to get serviced before I put it in, and a good clean as well. I also need to dry all my tools out as well because, as I mentioned, it started raining when I was disassembling the VRS. So tools are wet, which I'm not super happy about, but it's okay. I've got stuff to dry everything. I've got stuff that you can use to de-rust things if there's any flash rusting on tools, which is handy. So I think that's what today's job is going to be, just tidying everything up and unloading the Volvo, because the poor thing is literally sitting on its arse, as you can maybe tell, compared to the front. Yeah, I need to put new shocks on this, which will be another video at some point once I do that. So yeah, unloading now. Hey folks, right, this is just a look at the gearbox and things. As you last saw, everything was in the back of the car. This part of the video has been filmed about 2.5 weeks later since the last bit. It was just being held up with parts and various things going on, so if I say anything that doesn't quite make sense, it's just because there's been a bit of a gap between the last bits and pieces and this part, so just a bit of a warning in advance there. But yeah, there's the gearbox. As you can see, I have given it a good clean. This code is JNC on this box, so it's not the super long ratio that people go on about. Can't even focus on it. It does say JNC anyway. The first part of the code just there. This is the normal ratio. So yeah, this came out of a later car, 56. You can tell it's the later box as well because it has the removable end cap there, whereas the earlier gearboxes, the long ratios that people go on about, that is solid. You know, it's all a solid casting. They don't have the removable thing, bearing cap. So that's quite good news for me, because it means it's a more reliable gearbox. You can get into there and put shims in if needed, but the power that I'm running, I don't think I'll need to do that, but I might just have to look into it. So yeah, that's the gearbox sitting there. Obviously it's been emptied of oil. I've drained all that out because the oil that was in it was a bit yucky. Nothing suspicious, just because it's from 2006 and the oil has been in there for a good number of years, so got fresh oil in order to go into there. We've got the clutch line here, which I need to fit. That is the one from the VRS. That is my old 5-speed gearbox, which, as you can probably tell, a heck of a lot smaller. Yeah, I was quite surprised the difference in sizes, but there again, this does have 3 shafts in it, so that's probably one of the reasons. And they are built a lot stronger, apparently. So yeah, all the 5-speed stuff over here, pretty much. These are all the bits from the car. 5-speed starter motor, which is different to the 6-speed. Subframe mounts, subframe itself. Again, all from my own car. This didn't bother taking the one off the VRS because everything here is polybushed. We've got the gear linkage here, which didn't actually need all that. You'll see in a moment what I'm on about. So yeah, all pretty good. Drive shafts, 6-speed ones there. This one needs a new CV boot on it, which is not a big issue. There's a dog bone mount or pendulum mount. Yeah, pretty much everything here is all more or less what's needed, if that makes sense. So dual mass is in there as well, and we now have a uprated clutch disc, which I'm just about to fit, which is this one. It is an organic clutch, I think it is, which is supposed to be a lot better. So yeah, this should hopefully take the power okay. And we also have the pressure plate there as well. So yeah, everything to go back together now. That is the mount off this gearbox. It's basically that there. Reason it's sitting up here is because I just painted it. Well, painted it last night because it had a bit of rust on it. So give it a de-rust and a coat of paint. Yeah, pretty much where we're up to at the moment. So I'm now changing the gear linkage over. Now you don't actually have to replace the entire linkage assembly, it's just the end bits. so the parts that go and hold the cables in place. As you can see here, this is the mount for the 6-speed, and what I need to do is put this onto the 5-speed gear cables. So in the car, it's still got the original cables on it. You can see here, what I need to do is remove this bracket, because it's obviously a different shape. And that's quite easy to do, because all you've got is these little clips here, which need to be lifted up, so this piece here comes upwards. The best thing to do is use like a flat blade screwdriver in under between this and the rubber here, so sort of in that gap there. Same with that one. These then slide out, and then you can push the cables back through this bracket. Just make sure you remember which one goes where. It's quite easy to understand, because your left one's on your left and your right one's on your right. And it's the same for the 6-speed as well, but yeah, it's just worth taking a note of that. Yeah, just a case of swapping the things over and then pushing these back into place. I'll just do that now. And that is a comparison of the two brackets. This is the 5-speed one, this is the 6-speed one. As you can see, they put the cables at different angles, and they mount differently to the gearbox as well. So yeah, don't think that's relevant. But yeah, luckily the cables themselves are the same, so you don't need to replace this bit. I just got the whole lot anyway, just in case, because when I took everything off I didn't know. But yeah, running the part numbers for these cables, they're all the same, and I know that bit's the same as well, so yeah, there's no need to actually remove this at all from the vehicle. Right, so I just thought I would give you a quick look at how these things fit together anyway, just for the sheer heck of it. But yeah, this is the 5-speed piece. I have to apologise about the weird camera angle. I unfortunately forgot my tripod and didn't expect to be doing this, so kind of just winging it. But yeah, you've got your gear cable here, and what you do is you get this piece and you get this piece, you push that through the hole like this, right on through until it's right beyond the rubber, and then you get your little metal piece, this here. Whilst this is right through in the correct position, which you can see because there is a little groove, you then get that, push it in, push it down like that, and that's it, that's your cable in place. So yeah, apologies about the weird angle there. As I say, I forgot my tripod, but yeah, that is how everything fits together. Very, very easy. Sometimes these are a bit sticky removing them. As I say, best thing to do is get big flat blade like this and stick it in here like so, and you can give it a wiggle like that, and then it pings off. Make sure you catch it or know where it's gone. I have temporarily lost that. It went over near the gearboxes, so I'll have a look after, but yeah. And then this can be slid off like that, and it's the same for both of them. So there you go. And that's now the linkage successfully converted for a 6-speed. As you can see, I've got these little clips back in and this bracket on. Put the ends on as well. These are the ends from the 5-speed. They are the same as the 6-speed, but these are upgraded ones with solid sort of internals instead of it being rubber mounted. They do fit the 5 and 6-speed because these bits, as I say, they're exactly the same. But once the box is in and these are fitted, I'll need to adjust the linkage just so it's exactly correct. Just for nice gear changes, and means it doesn't crunch or anything like that. Because I've lost all the locations, you could say, for these to go on. There isn't really any witness marks. meaning I can't set it exactly correct. So once the box is in, I can then just cycle through the gears, make sure it feels right. I mean, you can tell if it's off even without driving the car. Yeah, the gear stick in the car, which is that. We'll need to change the knob over because I've now got a gear that doesn't exist, which is 6. Yeah, that's actually a gear knob for a Seat, and luckily you can get these knobs in the 6-speed flavour as well, so I don't need to go for a VRS one because that's not what I'm trying to do. And I'm also definitely not using this knob. Yeah, this isn't a Lexus IS300, it's a Skoda Fabia. I like the gator though, but this again isn't a VRS really, so I won't be using that, but I will be keeping it. So yeah, there we go, that is the gear linkage sorted now. Okay, so another update. It's quite late at night at the moment. I've decided to come down in the evening, and I kind of got carried away on time and things. Yeah, it's about 12:30, but yeah, I have cleaned, as you can probably see, at the bottom of the engine because the sump is missing. I took this as a good opportunity to clean all the bottom of the engine, clean the oil pickup, which is right there, and yeah, just make sure everything's alright, which luckily it is. And get my shallow sump prepped and ready to get fitted as well, which, as you can see, is all nice and clean inside. Gave it a good dousing of brake cleaner. Same with the bottom of the engine. Nothing scary going on, which is good. And what I mean by that is there's no metal filings or anything. I took the oil pickup off because it's only held on with two 10mm bolts. You can see there's one right there, and there's one at the other side as well. Gave it all a good clean. I've also got that to refit as well, which is the splash guard thingy that fits on the bottom of the engine, so I need to do that. I'm going to do that actually when I finish this video, so I don't forget. And the I was going about to say the auto box there, the 6-speed manual box, that has now been cleaned as well, as you can see. So that's literally just needs an oil change and then it can go in the car. It gives you an idea. That one is a clean one. That is a 5-speed which hasn't been cleaned. So went over that with traffic film remover and a good high power pressure washer, and it's all come up really well. So still need to do the oil in it, but yeah, once that's done it can go into the car. Also, once I've got my clutch disc as well, which I'm still waiting for, my uprated one. This is all the bolts here for the gearbox and pretty much everything for the car, the 6-speed stuff. Ignore that, that is an EGR blank for something entirely different, but they've been acid bathed and as you can see are really nice and clean. I'm not touching the stuff because it's, well, acidy, but yeah, once they're all dried off, give them a rinse and give them a coat of paint or something just to stop them rusting. So yeah, all this sort of stuff, you may be thinking, why have I gone to the extent of cleaning all the bolts and things? It makes putting everything back together so much easier. I also re-tapped the mounting holes on the bottom of the car as well, where the subframe goes in. Just, there's one, there's one, where's the other one? I'm trying to remember now, I think it's on the back. Can't remember if I actually showed this or not in a video, but yeah, where does it, oh yeah, it goes up in there somewhat. Oh, I've made an absolute mess of this, haven't I? There it is, right, over there. There's one hole there, and then there's one which I just showed up there. Same on the other side. I ran a tap through those holes as well, just so everything goes back together properly. And As I say, the more time you spend doing these sort of things, the easier it is when you've got the subframe balanced on a jack and you're trying to, you know, put 4 bolts in at the same time. There's a subframe just there. So yeah, do all these little bits just now and then makes life a lot easier. That is the dog bone mount, as they call it, for the 6-speed. That bit there is actually okay, but I don't need it because I've got a polybush one in there. So all I need to do is change these pieces over. That bracket will replace that one just there. Luckily this dog bone is in okay condition, so that can go into my dad's Fabia, his petrol one, because it has a damaged, worn out dog bone and there's a lot of movement. This is a PD 131, so it'll be good enough for his. This is a 1.4/16 valve saloon. Videos on the channel about that. So yeah, that's where we are just now, and not really much else I can do until my clutch disc arrives. Same sort of disc as that, just with better friction material on it. That one is not getting used, but yeah, there's the dual mass. So yeah, there we go. So far everything's gone pretty good. Hey folks, we are now at the stage for everything to go back together and the gearbox to go into the car. I'm just about to fill it with gear oil, which is right there. I still need a little bit more, but that's okay, that's the majority of it. I just need about, I think it's about 0.5 litres extra, but again, I'm OCD, so I want it to be exactly right. Well, not OCD, but you know, I just want the levels to be exactly where they should be, just for my own peace of mind. So yeah, gearbox is there. That's all the mounting bolts and everything. As you can see, they have been acid dipped and galvanized, so they're pretty much new now, which is nice. It's pretty good having nice new bolts and stuff. Clutch is fitted, as you can see right there, with the upgraded disc in there as well. It's centered. I hope I used a clutch alignment tool, so you know, got a better chance than anything else. And yeah, ready to go back in. I've also fitted the sump as well, the shallow sump, as you can maybe see here. Yes, it is second hand. It came off my other engine, so yeah, I've got that fitted on. It's been sealed and the sealant's gone nice and solid now, which is good. Yeah, I did that about 4 days ago. There's not any oil in it yet because I wanted it to be 100% cured before I actually put oil into it. I did that once before, ages ago. I fitted a sump on a car. Well, it was a Fabia SDI I used to have many years ago. The first car that got me into Fabias actually. And yeah, smashed the sump on it because everyone smashes sumps on PDs and SDI engines and stuff. Ended up dropping the oil. Well, the oil had dropped itself. Put a new sump on it, sealed it all, screwed it, bolted it on even. Didn't let the sealant cure long enough, so it started leaking and bits of the sealant then blocked the intake oil pickup pipe. So every time I went round a corner the oil light came on. I didn't care, I still ran it. It was an old SDI, just did not care. But now, yes, I'm a bit more professional and this is all been done properly. Mind you, I was doing it outside and I needed the car the next day, so that's kind of why that happened. Story time. So yeah, that's pretty much everything now. Gearbox is going to go back in once I put the oil in it, and then I can start building everything back together, and hopefully the car will drive and go into gear and work. That would be nice. Right, so the 6-speed gearbox is now fitted, as you can see there. This top mount isn't on yet. It was on, but then it came to running the clutch line, and then I realised it's supposed to actually go under that mount there, whereas the 5-speed one didn't. So that was a learning curve and a bit of swearing, so I just unbolted it again. So yeah, fun fact, the clutch line for the 6-speed does involve going behind the mount, so get that in before you actually put the mount on. Yes, I'm talking from experience. But yeah, the line is now in place. It's got that thing on it, which the other one did not have. I'm going to try and show you where it's attached. There we go, kind of. Can you just see the clip in there? Right in front of the camera. Just there. That is the clip where the clutch line attaches, just behind the heater pipes. Well, the AC pipes in this case. Yeah, that was fun getting into. Going back out now. Yeah, right in behind the intake pipe, just in there, which now you can't see because of the light. Yeah, just right there. So that was a very enjoyable process, I say with sarcasm, getting that clip out and getting the new one in, because it pees clutch fluid as well, because it's obviously at the reservoir. So got my hands covered in clutch fluid, well, brake fluid, which was lovely, so I need to top that back up, bleed the clutch and everything. But yeah, pipes in, it's ran round under there right to here. So that is where the bleed screw is. That is makes no real difference, but that T-piece you can see there, where the bleed nipple is, that is off a later model VAG product, because apparently they've updated them. I don't know how, but my mate gave me that one. He said this is a newer one, so I thought, cool, I'll fit that. But that's the thing there. That's actually the original from the VRS that this gearbox came from. So yeah, so I'm now at the stage just putting things back together in a normal manner. There's nothing really different now to the 5-speed and the 6-speed, you know, put the mount back on. What else? Got a few more bolts to put in underneath, put the drive shafts in. Gear linkage and everything's connected up. I will probably need to adjust it, but it works. And we now have, this is the funny part, my 5-speed now has a 6th gear. So yeah, and this is the original gear linkage that was on this car. So theoretically it's a 1.2 petrol linkage, that one. All the linkages are the same. That's the one off the VRS right there. As I mentioned further back, you just need to change the end bits over, and Bob's your uncle, as they say. So yeah, getting on pretty good. Get the mount back on. I want to get it to the stage where it's just a case of putting the subframe back in, which I'll probably do tomorrow. And yeah, that'll be good. Got oil to put in the engine and coolant as well, because I can't remember if I mentioned further back or not, but I managed to break this, so that's new. Be very careful, as I mentioned, when taking gearboxes in and out and stuff, because this thing, when it's old, it gets brittle and this can break off. If you catch this pipe with the gearbox, yeah, you have a bit of a mess, which I did. So there we go. Hey folks, well, got quite a lot more done now. Unfortunately I forgot to take some videos along the way, but not really missed much. Subframe is now in underneath. Everything's nicely bolted up. Let me get a light actually, hang on a minute. Right, sorry about that. The light on my phone's not working, so I have to get an external work light. But yes, subframe's back in. Gearbox is bolted up. Yeah, subframe went in real easily. As I mentioned in the video further back, I ran a tap and die through all the captive nuts on the body where the subframe is mounted, as you can just see there, and up in there as well, and those are new bolts. And yeah, went in so much easier. No cross threading, no issues whatsoever, which was really good. So yeah, that's all done. Subframe and everything's in, battery's back in, clutch is bled. My dad and I did that a few hours ago. Pipes are going on, still need to put a Jubilee clip here, which I'll do, same as that. Yeah, everything up here is done, all cleaned, back together. So once I've got an oil filter to go there, and a bit more gearbox oil to top the, well, gearbox up, funnily enough, we'll be ready. I've also got the drive shafts in as well, well, one of the drive shafts, that one, the right hand side one. Calipers getting painted as well, because I just thought might as well do that whilst off the car. Still got the passenger side shaft to go in, as you can see from the lack of shaft. That is because I haven't done that one yet. That's because it's sitting over here. Now I can't remember if I showed this or not, I think I did, but the outer CV joint has failed and the boot's all split and damaged. I believe this happened when the previous owner of all these parts with the gearbox and everything, he crashed his VRS into a curb in the ice or something, and I'm going to assume that this was also part of that. So I've got another CV joint on the way, hopefully it'll be here tomorrow, get that swapped all over. I mean, this boot's damaged anyway, it's not just come off, it is actually like split in some places. So get that done. Hopefully my diff oil, gear oil will be here as well. Get the filter, and that'll be it. And then just pray that it works. Should do, as I say. It's been a lot more than just the gearbox change. I did the sump, cleaned all the bottom of the engine, changed the rear main seal as well. Obviously did the clutch and everything, so yeah, it's all pretty good. Yeah, that's all the old bits there. That linkage, as I mentioned, that's the VRS cables. I just needed the end bits, as we saw, didn't need the whole lot, so I'll keep that as a spare just in case it's needed, or if anyone needs cables and stuff. They do sometimes get damaged. So yeah, there we go. Hey folks, well, we're just on the final reassembly now and checking fluids and stuff. That wheel's back on, as you can probably tell. So yeah, all going pretty well. I will be back in this side again in a couple of days. Reason being is the drive shaft, the CV boot was split on the outer CV. So replace the boot, but there is a lot of wear in the actual joint itself. So what I've done is I've ordered a replacement drive shaft off eBay, a genuine VW one. Didn't go for aftermarket, I went for a used VW one because my experience with drive shafts is get a good used one, because a lot of the cheaper new ones are just absolute rubbish. So yeah, got one coming for a Seat Ibiza FR, which has the same running gear as the Fabia and the Polo, various other things as well. So yeah, that'll be here in a couple of days. I'll show that once it's arrived, but at the moment I've just put the old one back in with the new boot on it, just to last me a couple of days until it's here, because I want to at least road test the car and make sure everything else is okay. Should be, don't see why there would be any issues, but you know, just want to try it anyway. I think it's sat here on the axle stands for long enough, so So yeah, that's pretty much where we are at the moment.
4 to 6 days later.
Okay, just replacing the drive shaft now since the correct one arrived, which is this one here. That is a temporary one that was bodged, literally, just to last about 24 hours. And yeah, this one, the joint has completely gone in it. Oh, it's got a lot of flop in it, and nobody likes a floppy shaft. But this one, on the other hand, is nice, and there's a bit of movement in it, but nothing that shouldn't be there. You know, if you grab this shaft like that and you can move that about. Yes, I am being obscene, but this one's solid. So yeah, that is good. This one came on a Ibiza. That one was the original 6-speed one. That came with the gearbox. That's now in this. I think I mentioned, but the boot was originally perished, so put another boot on it. To be fair, it works actually fine, but I just really want to have one that's 100% right, especially due to the fact I might be going into Europe this year. So yeah, I don't want it to break, because that would be quite annoying if it, say, broke somewhere near Poland or something. So yeah, good one goes on, bad one probably gets left on the shelf as a spare.
Later that night.
Okay, so the 6-speed conversion has now been done, and I've done approximately 30 miles with it, as you can see there. And it drives really nice. There's quite a big difference. The main thing I noticed is the clutch. It's a bit heavier and it just seems to feel a lot smoother, but there again, it's a dual mass with a bigger friction disc, and it's an organic disc as well. So no, that doesn't mean it's vegan. It it means it's made out of a specific type of material, so it's a lot stronger. Because this isn't your average Fabia estate, it runs quite a bit more power and a lot more torque, so that's just future-proofing it. To be honest with you, I'm not going to be exceeding the power of the clutch, nowhere near that, but I just like having things over-engineered, because then I know it's going to last. But yeah, the gear ratios are a lot different as well. First, second, third, fourth and fifth are a lot closer. Well, I wouldn't say fifth, I would say fifth and sixth have a bigger gap between them. I'll show you in a minute, because I'll mount my phone to the steering wheel and you can see how it drives. But yeah, it's actually really nice. It's definitely a nice upgrade. We've lost a few hundred RPM at 60 miles an hour, so before it used to sit around 2.2, which is about there, and now it's just about 1800, so that's at 60 miles an hour. So yeah, massive difference. So yeah, I'll attach the phone to the steering wheel and we'll go for a drive. That's fifth, which is about where it was on the 5-speed. There's sixth. Obviously I'm not pushing hard because I'm still letting the clutch bed in, so I'm just taking it steady. But yeah, certainly a lot smoother. Even the gear changes are nicer as well, but it's probably because of the dual mass. So yeah, we're doing 50 miles an hour at about 1600 RPM. So definitely a big difference, because we would normally be we'd be under about 2000 1000 RPM there at 50